Hello, I'm Mrs Deverson Dean and I'm Head of Literacy at Farlingaye High School. We wanted, as a school, to gift you this book, Swan Song, for you to enjoy over summer. I'm waiting for an angel. My angel. I even have a long white feather from one of her wings. It's so bright that it seems to glow with its own light. Sounds a bit crazy, I know. I'm sitting here on the edge of the marsh, watching the sky, waiting for her to come back to me. The sky here is so big. This is where the river meets the sea. Beyond the marsh are green fields dotted with sheep, and beyond those are the distant mountains. I've been watching for days, but this evening there's a cold north wind. It feels as if winter's on its way. The trees are losing their leaves, and the setting sun is turning the sky and big watery marsh to gold. It's the perfect evening. I know she'll arrive tonight. I suppose she's not really an angel, not in the way people think about angels, but she is one to me. She changed my life. She saved me. It's a long story, but it's true. It all started a year ago when I was kicked out of school. Chapter 1. Is there anything you'd like to say before you go? Said the head teacher. We were in his office with Asim and Asim's mother, my mum and me. I stared at the trophy cabinet behind him, full of gold and silver cups. His walls were decorated with pupils' artwork, and on the table was a whole book of newspaper cuttings about all the great things that pupils from the school had done, as I was often told. I was letting the school down. I was letting everyone down. I was letting myself down. I was a letdown, a failure, a fail. I didn't want to say anything. Dylan, said the head teacher again, is there anything you want to say to Asim before you go? Do you want to say sorry? I looked over at Asim, as his black eye and the stitches above his eyebrow where I'd punched him. Some sticky tape held his broken glasses together. No, I mumbled. He deserved it. Well, I think that says it all, said the head teacher as he stood up. I think we all know what's in everyone's best interests. Mum sniffed and I could see she was crying. I felt mad with her for crying. I pushed my chair back, got up and walked out of the door. I saw Asim's mum put her arms round my mum and hug her. I looked at the head teacher and he shook his head slowly at me. He didn't say another thing. I'd been expelled, permanently excluded. I turned and walked out of the school and I didn't look back. I got in the car and just stared out of the window. It was a grey day. No colour day. One of those days so grey the whole city seems like it's in black and white. Mum started the car up and pulled away from the school. I wasn't going back there again. Ever again. I thought I'd got through year 7 and into year 8 and I'd been kicked out before half term. Maybe I should have been angry or scared or even happy that it was all over. I should have felt something. But in truth, I didn't feel anything at all. Well, that's it then, said Mum. I had nothing to say, and we drove home. Mum pulled into the drive and walked into the house after her. There were boxes and bags in the hallway that hadn't been there before. What's going on? I said. Mum turned to look at me. We can't stay here. If I can't work, I can't pay the rent. I frowned at her. What are you talking about? Mum shook her head. How can I work if you're not at school? Go to work, I said. I'm fine. You have no idea, do you? Snapped Mum. I can't leave you on your own. I have to find a way to make sure you don't miss out on your schoolwork. I don't want any schoolwork, I shouted. Don't you get it? I don't want to do anything. I stumped upstairs to my bedroom. Mum yelled up after me. Go on then, walk away. But this isn't just about you. Shut up, I yelled. Just shut up. I slammed my door shut. I heard Mum storm up the stairs. She flung the door open. What's happened? Chapter 2. I slept all the way until the next morning. I woke up as it was getting light. I looked at my school bag on the floor. I wouldn't be needing that anymore. I sat up and rubbed my eyes. The house was silent. I walked downstairs to the kitchen where everything was in boxes. I put some bread in the toaster and flicked on the TV. The local news told of a couple who'd raised money by cycling across Europe and of a fire at a factory. It all felt very far away. I didn't feel part of this world. I spread butter on my toast and flicked through the channels until I found some cartoons. "Morning," said Mum, coming downstairs. She switched on the kettle to boil and put a tea bag in a mug. It was strange to see her in her pyjamas. Normally at this time she'd be in her office suit, packing her briefcase, brushing her hair and nagging me to get ready. The firm she worked for was on the other side of the city, but neither of us were going anywhere that day. Both our lives had changed. I looked at all the boxes, packed and taped. "Where are we going?" "Your grandfather's place," she said. "Grandad," I said. "I thought you hated him." Mum poured boiling water in her mug, sat down and sighed. "I don't hate him. We're just not close. Never have been. I could only remember going to Grandad's years ago when I was about 7. It wasn't long after Mum and Dad had split up. His house is in Wales near the sea. We were going to stay for a week, but we'd left after only a day. I remember Mum having an argument with Grandad and letting me quickly back into the car. I didn't really remember Grandad very well at all. "When are we going?" I said. "At the weekend," said Mum. "I've got people coming to collect our stuff, and that has to go into storage. We can only take things that we can fit in the car." "What about school?" I asked. Mum frowned. "What do you mean?" "Well, don't they send someone round to see what I'm doing?" I asked. "We're on our own now," she said. I've told the council you're going to be homeschooled." "Don't they check?" I asked. "What if people come round banging on the door to make sure Mum was teaching me?" "No," said Mum. She stirred her tea angrily. "They won't check. You're not their problem anymore." I stared at the TV, but I wasn't really watching. I hadn't thought everything would happen like this. I couldn't really remember how it had all gone wrong. I'd been happy in primary school, really happy, but somehow everything changed at secondary school. I'd felt so angry and sad, all mixed up, but people only saw me angry. I wouldn't let them see me cry. Mum often had to come and get me from school when I didn't do what the teachers had said, or I messed about in lessons, or I was rude. Mum blamed it on Dad leaving us, but I don't think it was that. It wasn't like Dad had been around that much anyway. It was as if everything had been building up inside me. Teachers kept telling us we had to work hard or we'd fail. They said exams were getting more difficult. I was falling behind with work. My friends were changing too. And I couldn't hold on to them, or even to who I was. It was like falling down a deep, dark hole that kept getting deeper and deeper and darker and darker. I didn't know when I'd hit the bottom. And now I wasn't part of school anymore. I wasn't part of anything. I expect the head teacher was happy to see me go, and I didn't know what the other pupils thought of me. It's not like I had any friends anymore. Maybe they'd gossip for a day or two, but then they'd forget about me, as if I never even existed. I never knew how easy it is for people to vanish.